Hi guys, my name's Tony and welcome to my YouTube channel. As you can see, this is the car that we're going to be respraying. This is just a quick little walk around. On this side, pretty much all the damage has already been marked out, just so you can get an idea of what we're going to be doing on the job. It's a Subaru Impreza. It's not a bad car, it's just full of pin dents all down the side. And there's 2 dents on the roof where the roof rack's been, and that's put a bit of a bend in it. This arch here, just a bit of a rough spot where we'll ground that out, ready to treat that. And we've still got to mark this side out yet, but I'll do that once we've got the other side sorted out. And we'll probably go in panel by panel just because of the amount of dents on it. For you guys that may be doing it at home or with a little bit less experience, it's easier to do it this way, just so you don't get too carried away with buzzing everything off and then losing track of where all the dents are. As you can see, the bonnet's a different colour. It's one that the customers put on, a second-hand one. That's going to take a bit of work because it's got some peeling paint. And just in case anyone was wondering, the H on the roof is just the way that I mark my high spots up, so you don't get muddled up between your lows and your highs when you're doing your repair work. Okay, so this stage we've got a couple of the repairs out of the way. What we've done is started off by buzzing all the panel down with a 180 first. We then used just fine filler, it's not heavy grade filler. All these pin dents are really shallow. So we've gone around each section that we want to do, section by section, buzzed off with a 180, small skim of fine filler. I then started knocking that down with an 80 and then finished with a 180. You see, the roof's also all been pre-sanded, that's been done with a 400, because the paint underneath all this is good. So, apart from the bonnet, obviously, which looks a mess. So there's no need to go harsh on the roof. We're only going to prime up the areas on the roof that we need to. On the bonnet there, you can see just how bad the paint is, but we'll sort that soon. Here on the wing, you can just about tell, hopefully the camera's picking it up enough, that it's just really shallow, small dents all the way through. And there's a little spot there where the bumper had been rubbing and made it touch rusty. To this side, we haven't touched anything yet really by the roof. That's all fully been buzzed down, and a section of that's been 180'd out, ready. Still got to treat that, just waiting for some rust treatment to come in. Hopefully that'll be here anytime soon, so it won't hold up the job. The boot's pretty much finished now. You see I put the tape across the rubbers. It's just to protect it, because you don't want to catch it. Catch the rubber, you're going to mess the rubber up, and then you're into a costly replacement on your rubbers. So it's always handy just to pop a bit of tape over those first. That's how I do it anyway. Some guys might do it different. If you do, drop a comment in the box below and let us know. Right, so here we are on day 2. The bonnet, we're giving that a good buzz back with a P80 on the oval sander, just to get rid of all that problem paint. See, I've skimmed up the front end and the side of the bonnet with some of the Pro Works fine filler. It's really good stuff, goes on nice and smooth. And you're not going to be fighting it with a block for hours, which is always good in this job. And it gives a really good finish. So that's going to get blocked off with an 80 and then onto a 180. Down this side, wing under that paper's done, front door's done, bottom of this door's done, top's just been skimmed up, and it has been sanded down underneath that. It's just gone a bit too far when I filled it. Down here, as you can see, there's a bit of sealer where the seal trim's been stuck on. We're going to have to get all that sort of crap cleaned off before we get around to the primer stage. Quarters all finished. Quick shot of the boot as we're walking around. That's all done and dusted. That's all been blocked down now with the P180. So this side, we've not touched this side yet, just because you don't want to lose track of where you're up to when you've got a car with this many small dents in it. They're only shallow, but if you miss them, it's going to stand out. Roof there has been skimmed up with a bit of fine filler. Just want to quick block down when we do the bonnet in a minute. Next, we're going to go on to a bit of blocking work. Right, so the next stage is going to run you through a little bit of sped up footage of the repair work on the wing. Start off with P180 on the orbital sander. We've buzzed the whole wing down and then give it a nice shallow skim of the fine filler. Although it looks like there's a lot on there, it's only a couple of mil thick. By the time we block this thing down, there's going to be hardly any on it. In a lot of patches, it's see-through, it's that thin, but it needs it. Ideally, it would have been better if we could have put a replacement wing on it. Budget-wise, customer can't afford it. He's already had to go for a second-hand bonnet, a second-hand front bumper, a second-hand rear bumper. So there's only so far we can go to keep it within the guy's budget. I don't want to turn the guy down and say sorry, but you can't afford the job that we want to do. People can afford what they can afford. We try our best to work with the customers to do that. So on the wing, same as the rest of the car, we started off with an 80, and then we're going to block the whole thing out with a P180, just to make sure that all them 80 scratches are gone. So when we get to the primer stage, we're not going to end up with loads of sink back, which is going to cause us problems. You might get the whole thing painted, flat, polished out the door. 2 weeks later, the car's back with a load of sink lines. You don't want that. Here's a shot of the wing when it's finished. As you can see, it looks like a lot of filler, but without it, the wing would have just stayed looking a mess. But it's only really thin and see-through. And as you can see there, the bonnet, that's all finished up as well. That just wants to block out with a 180 now on the bonnet. Right, as you can see, the boot's all finished up, blocked down. Moving on to the quarter panel here. It's a quick shot, we'll come back to that in a second. Top there, that's been repaired, just 2 little small dents. Look like where someone's had something on and off the roof rack. The roof there, that's been blocked out now. Again, a little bit of tape you can just catch running down the windscreen. Same as around the rubber here, just to protect your edges so you're not catching anything with a 180 or an 80. Quarter panel wise, that's pretty much done. There's only a few tiny little marks in that. Still waiting on the rust treatment for that bottom. So here we are now, moving on to the repairs on this rear door. Bottom section, as you can see, I've already done. The bottom section is really bad, so what we've ended up doing there is just giving it a really thin skim, again with this fine filler. This Pro Work stuff is really good. So we give it a quick skim over that, and then blocked all that out. Then we've buzzed off this top section with the 180, fine filler in there, and now this is how I normally start off, just makes the job a little bit easier. Start off with an 80 on the DA, just knock the worst of it down to start you off. Try and get rid of any harsh edges if you've ended up with any filler. It just saves you a bit of legwork and arm ache when you get around to the blocking stage. So some of these fine fillers and some stoppers, they tend to go, I suppose the best way of saying it really is, a little bit sticky on the top surface. So if you start off straight away with your block, not only are you putting a lot of extra arm ache and work into it that you don't need to do, they tend to block up your, if right now you can see me here, stick a fresh disc on. Sometimes they can tend to clog a fresh disc up. So knocking them down with a DA first just helps with that as well. It cuts down a bit of cost. DA disc is a lot cheaper than one of the long bed sanding discs. Right, so at this stage, this is just an 80 on the block. We're going to block this down, I'd say about 95% of the way. We want to leave a little bit of room so that when we get the P180 on there, we've still got a little bit to block down. If you're going to get it feeling absolutely perfect with your 80, the problem is that when you get to your 180 to get all the 80 scratches out, you're going to be taking it all down too low. And although we're going to be doing this with probably 4 coats of high build, what you don't want to be doing is relying on your primer to get rid of any of them shallow spots if there's a lot of them. They're alright for getting rid of shallow spots, and on a lot of restoration jobs, we use the high builds and the polyester filler primers so you can get that panel, that last bit flat. But on a job like this, it shouldn't need it. And what you don't want to do is you end up going too low with your 180 and then having to reskim the panel again, because that's just a pain. More time, more money, more materials that we just don't need to put into the car. So this stage, we're just finishing up on the 80. I've skipped out the 180 stage just because I'm trying not to keep this video getting too long. I don't want you guys getting bored. So on this section, I've just got an 80. I'm just knocking off the last little edges of these bits of filler. All that top's now finished. And then I'm going to run around these edges in the inside of here. Again, just with a folded over DA disc on a 180, just to make sure that all them little edges are knocked out and any of the scratches from the 80 are fully taken out. And then in a minute, we're going to cut to the car when we've finished all the repairs and we've got it masked ready for primer. It's a bit of a job this we got the primer on day 3, so we've done pretty well. A lot of repair work on this car and get it masked and the booth prep's ready to go. So as you can see here, now all the repair work's done. Empty little black bits on the front there, just some covers that I want to get primed up at the same time while priming the car up. So everything's been masked. I'm going to go for 4 coats of high build on this, just to give it a real good coat. As you can see, all the booths now been prepped, water down the floor, airlines hung up so that's not hanging in the water. I'm pretty much happy with where we're up to. This is end of day 3 and we're going to get the primer on it tonight, so that's all done out of the way, ready for tomorrow. Right, so here we are. This is the filler primer we're going to be using. It's brand new kit. It's the Capsi 2K filler primer. Pretty good stuff for the money. Gives a good coverage. Flash off time is pretty good. We're just going to use the standard hardener because that's going to be good enough for what we need for this job. We don't need anything else. Spray gun we're going to be using is the Devilbiss FLG with a 1.4mm setup. With it being a 1.4, I've just put 10% thinners in the 2K filler primer. Just helps it flow out that bit nice and come out the smaller tip a bit better. But I prefer a 1.4. Just personal preference for me. Some guys like a 1.6, some guys like a 1.8, some guys like go bigger than that. At the end of the day, you like what you like. This is my setup for my primer. On the spray gun, I'm going full fan, full fluid, probably about 25 psi I should say. And we're just going to put a light coat down over these repairs first, nothing too really wet. Quick flick over the repair work, as you can see, and over any cut throughs. Right guys, so I'm going to let this video run for a couple of minutes now, just to show you this first coat, and then I'll cut back when it comes on to the second coat, just so you guys can have a little look and get a bit of an idea for how I'm putting the primer down. Right guys, so this is the second coat. All we're going to do here is we're going to get it on a lot wetter and we're going to go for full coverage on this coat, which will be the second coat, and the third and the fourth. I'm going to cut back off again in a second so you can watch this coat, and then we're going to cut to the last coat, and I've sped up a lot of the upcoming footage so that you're not going to be sitting here for the next 20 minutes watching me priming this car up, because otherwise it get pretty boring, and I'd like some of you guys to subscribe and hopefully get a few followers on the channel. So I'm going to leave you guys to it so you can watch the rest of this coat, and it's not me going really fast in a minute, we've just sped the footage up just so you guys can get an idea of how far we're going, and I shall see you when I have finished priming up in a minute. guys. Right, so that's that stage done, and that's pretty much it for part 1. Hope you enjoyed watching. Hope you didn't get too bored. If you've got any comments or questions, leave them in the box below. Please give us a like, subscribe, and hopefully see you again for part 2, where we'll be going through the prep, the base coat, and the clear coat on this job. So thanks for watching, guys, and that's it from me for today. See you again soon.